Hello, I'm Tian Wei, and welcome to World Insight. We begin today's program right here in Beijing, where coronavirus infections spiked just days after months-long restrictions were lifted. The latest clusters are linked to a row of bars and nightclubs in the city's Chaoyang district. The resurgence has delayed the resumption of in-person classes. How well is the city coping, and what does it say about China's overall strategy in battling the ongoing pandemic? And what about people? The people in Beijing, how are they coping with the latest situation? Let's talk to our panelists and hear their personal stories. In Beijing, we have David Moser, professor at the Capital Normal University. Meanwhile, we're also joined by Zulu, high school English and drama teacher. Last but not least, Matthew Hu, Beijing Cultural Heritage Protection Center and co-founder of the Courtyard Institute. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program. You are all now living in Beijing. Tell me more about how do you personally look at the latest policies and how you are, adjust your lives to the policies in order to have not to waste the time, but to enjoy your life. Tell me more, David, first of all, to you.
Well, first of all, I'm an academic, so I'm, teaching courses. So for me, I'm one of these people that it fits into my lifestyle pretty well, because all I have to do is go out and get my PCR test every day. I have to obey the rules when there's a lockdown or something like that. But so far, I'm a very happy person in my room with my computer and my books, and that's like the place I would really love to be. So I haven't had to sacrifice. However, I should tell you, I'm right now under a 3-day quarantine in my room because I was in a shopping mall where a case had been detected. And so they said, it was very scary when I had to scan my Jiankang and when it suddenly went, I thought, oh no, this is going to be the end of my life. But it was quite easy, really.
All right, good to hear that. Meanwhile, Matthew, what about for you?
Actually, this bar, which caused this recent surge in rising cases, actually right close to where I live. But I feel very lucky because our apartment has not been locked down, and so it's easy for us to go out and come back. Just need to test your temperature, take your temperature, or show the green code. Yeah, I think that's like it. Well, we have to adapt. We have to live with it.
I see. Zulu, what about for you?
So David and Matthew have mentioned that I look very young earlier for my age, but I
didn't hear that part.
Yeah, but I want to say for the record that I'm actually not young because I didn't go to any of the bars that you guys were talking about. So fortunately, I'm grateful that I don't go to bars anymore, I guess, recently. So we're lucky enough to not have come into contact with any of that. But I mean, we've been pretty lucky this whole time. As David mentioned, I like spending time at home as well with music and reading books and drawing and stuff. Yeah. So we don't use a refrigerator because we try to eat as fresh as possible. So we pretty much only buy food on the day, cook it, and then have no leftovers, right? We would try to go with that model. But just in case, because of this new wave, we got a mini fridge.
I see.
And we are able to freeze vegetables, which is, yes, against our rule for now, but we try to see the bright side of that.
I hope your lifestyle can come back soon. It seems that you're personally okay and trying to adjust with the circumstances, but what about for your work? And David, you're a professor. You need to teach your students. For you, how the teaching has been in Beijing over the past half a year, let's just put it that way.
It's very different. It's much less effective. My students, they don't turn on their cameras to let me see them because every time I say, especially to the women, I say, turn on your camera. And they say, no, I didn't wash my hair last night. I don't want people to see me. But then occasionally they will.
Did you insist?
Well, if I insist, or sometimes they accidentally turn on their cameras and I see what they're doing, and they're not sitting there upright, listening. They've got a fangyan mian, they've got a bowl of soup, and they've got the earphones on, and they're probably watching, playing a video game. So I know that they're not listening to me 100% of the time.
It really depends on what class you're teaching.
My classes must be pretty boring because. But the other thing, Tianwei, that you don't know probably is actually most of the students are not on campus because when it happened, they were encouraged to go home. So I'm actually teaching also some students from Xinjiang and from Tibet who have gone back home.
Yeah.
And for them, life is really just very normal. There's no risk. There's virtually no COVID at all. And they're with their families and they're having a very nice vacation, really, in some ways, right? The ones in Beijing are having a vacation in some sense, but there's still lots of nervousness because you never know when there's going to be a breakout.
How do you see students are functioning, both psychologically and also in their academic work?
I've asked the students, how many hours a day are you on the computer just for your schoolwork? And I'm surprised. The numbers they give me are 10 hours or 12 hours a day just to do their schoolwork. Now, 10 or 12 hours at schoolwork on your campus is a different thing because you're walking between classes, you're seeing your friends, you're going out for lunch. These are people that are sitting all day long in front of a computer, and then they get up and get something to eat, and they're sitting down on the computer again, right? So I try to custom my learning so that we give them lots of breaks, we give them some more entertaining things, try to have as much personal.
So far, what do they like the best during the classes?
They like it when we just do free talk sometimes. Because
like we're doing right now?
Yeah, well, I start the class sometimes saying, how are you? Are you okay? And I just say, what's your problems? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel unhappy? And they're happy to talk about that. And then, of course, they all love the TV show Friends, and I have some learning clips for Friends, and they all love that. So that's to make them feel good.
Right. Great to hear your story. What about for you, Zulu? I mean, you are teaching students as well, though different circumstances, high school students. Tell me more about how they are functioning and what does that mean for your teaching and your work?
Our students are human beings. They need that human touch. So we also do the free talk. I teach drama, which really requires you to engage with each other. And that it has made that a little bit harder, but you can't help but be inspired by the students when they, do practice through video and are still able to give you that energy. So if my students are watching, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. This year, we are doing more of a musical number. We're going to do Aladdin. So we kind of based it off of the Disney Spectacular live show version. The part we're missing is dancing. But the day we did kind of a dress rehearsal and A Whole New World came on and there was that romantic duet, I think it really sparked up the students' lives.
How your students are functioning?
Yeah, okay, so I see you guys. I know when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You're not that sly. We were once young, we know. But yeah, I try to get them to talk more. They seem a little disheartened, but they are hanging on. So even if they're sitting there, they're kind of slacking, doing something else. They're making it to the computer screen. And one principle that I like to live by is, just get on the yoga mat every day. You might not even do the whole set, but just get on there and let's go from there. So
do you also teach them singing?
I sing. I'm a shower singer. But no, I don't teach them to sing. I pretty much just play the big organizer, and we have student directors for every scene, and they're doing a very, really good job.
What about for you, Matthew? I mean, you have been leading teams of, amateurs walking around Beijing to get to know the history, get to know, better about how to protect China's history. Tell me more about how you are functioning right now with your work.
Because most of the lockdown places are in downtown. So I shift my attention to suburban areas. Of course, some of the suburban parks, temples, tourist sites were also closed, but there's a lot of wild places that in the past I didn't spend enough time
Like
research on. For example, there is a Qing Dynasty Prince mausoleum in very close to Xiangshan, to the Fragrant Hills, but it's hidden in a village. Of course, by saying a village, if you go there, it doesn't look like a village anymore. It's a very well-built residential area. So I spent time just researching about some of these neglected heritage sites in the past that nobody had time really to research on. So it took me some time to find it, but I enjoy the process. It's really like a detective work.
David, you have been spending time in the U.S. and then later back in China. Different countries going through the biggest challenging time at different times, it seems. But it seems that everybody has to go through something as a result of this pandemic. What have you noticed about the change of attitude, the change of mentality, and the way people try to learn about themselves and their surroundings as a result?
Yeah, well, there was a lot to talk about there. The one thing that stands out for me, and in terms of my life, is that we live in a very much an internet world where we're so constantly interconnected. But I find that sometimes, even though we theoretically can get in touch with each other, in fact, when we're living our normal lives, we don't. We tend to interact with the same people every day. Since the epidemic, and since being partly in the US in 2020 and now here, I find that I've reached out to friends, people all over the world that I had not talked to in years, and regain contact with them and begin to collaborate with them on things I would never have collaborated on if not for this worldwide disaster. I've made new friends that I would never have made if not for this. And here's another example. My family is scattered. My brother, my sister, my daughter, my wife, they're all in different places. But before COVID, we would see each other maybe once a year at Christmas or something, and we got used to that. Nowadays, my brother, sister, and most of us, we are in constant contact every week, several times. We talk, we compare notes, we see if we're doing okay. And that's, I think, the result of that. Since we have these tools, these internet tools and these social media tools, for me, it was a kind of a revelation, because I said, despite all these tools, I was actually in a little bubble every day talking to the same 5 people. And now I'm talking to the whole world, and now I'm not afraid to make a completely new friend and just bring them into this, because I can't travel. So for me, it's been actually an expansion of my friendship base and not a contraction.
This is likely to be a test for everyone about how much courage they have and how much they are willing to embrace what is available or could be available to them with some efforts.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like it's a resource that's always there, but you take it for granted, so you don't think it's important, and maybe you'll use it, in an emergency. It's a kind of a social emergency, right? And so this is a chance to go back and sort of, take more advantage of the resources that we have. That's the way I look.
Matthew, what about for you? Do you see what David is talking about?
In the past, I think we were busy just doing research, but I think this kind of period of time gave us a very good opportunity to really coordinate a lot of work online, and turns out some of the work became more efficient and systematic.
Just by listening to you guys, Of course, you put a lot of, optimism in your words, but still, people are very flexible. People are also very creative in trying to find the right balance for their lives and also to create an ambience for their beloved ones. It seems that that's what I'm getting right now at Zulu.
We are in a converging world, an international converging community. And the more complex it gets, the closer to the core of our being that we get. So to quote, to quote one of my all-time hero actor, JC, he says, no matter how complicated everything gets, there's really essentially one choice we have to make every single day, every single moment, and whether to act out of love or fear. So the more uncertainty, the more chaos there is, we come closer to that choice every single moment. And a lot of that ambience that you're talking about is, in doing things and choosing to do things out of that love for ourselves, for our family, for our planet. And the way that I've been doing that along with my partner is, to adopt this vegan lifestyle, and hopefully, just by making simple choices with our meals every day, with simple choices, we can overcome great difficulty.
This round of prevention and control policies reduced because things are getting better. Tell me one thing that you would really love to do. David, let's start from you.
I really want to go to places I haven't been. I want to go to the South. I want to go to Chengdu again. I want to go see my relatives in Hebei, which I haven't done in 2 years. So I think I want to leave Beijing. I've seen enough of it. I want to get out of here and see the rest of the world.
Time to do the things that you really want to do, right? Great. And Zulu?
Yeah, I haven't seen my family back in the United States for many years. So that's definitely one of the top things on my agenda. And also ecstatic dance at Chaoyang Park. Dancing with your friends, good music, wonderful vibes.
I hope I will be able to witness that as well.
Yeah.
Let me know when that time comes, okay?
I will.
And last but not least, Matthew.
I would like to take my boy to travel outside Beijing to southern Shanxi province, because Guan Yu, that's the Three Kingdoms hero, is his own hero. So I have been taking him on a Three Kingdoms journey to Luoyang, to a lot of other places.
Wow.
So I'd like to continue that journey, which had been interrupted in the past year.
Why is he so important for your kid?
I think Guan Yu is a very well-known character in the romance of the Three Kingdoms. He is considered the most loyal brother, and he is also very courageous, fought many wars and won many wars.
Yeah.
I think all the Chinese kids are very familiar with the story of the Three Kingdoms. And my wife is from Chibi, from the Red Cliff, where the most famous battle was fought. So that gave me all the reason that I like to, introduce him to all these heritage sites where many of these famous battles in the history happened. So I think that's my dream.
Loyalty and courage. Thank you so much, Matthew, Zulu, David. All the best to you and all the friends that you are in contact with. Thank you.